Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Rudolph Blitz, and in today's video, I'll be playing in the Tier 10 Italian auto-reloading heavy, the Rinoceronte, a vehicle which is absolutely fantastic, and I think a great beginner grind for anybody that wants to get into the auto-reloading type of vehicles. The Rhino is great for multiple reasons. First of all, it's a double shot tank, and as I've said in the past, double shot vehicles kind of have the best of both worlds because they get two shells they can quickly dump back into cover, and unlike, autoloaders which have three or sometimes even four shells, you don't have to wait as long to get them back. As well, because this is an auto-reloader, you actually can reload each shell individually. And for the Rhino, you gain damage per minute when dumping your clip. We can see that Shell 2 has an 8.33 second reload, which on paper looks faster. But what you have to remember is you also have to add a 3.3 second intra-clip. So actually, it's 11.3 seconds for Shell 2 and a 10-second reload for Shell 1. Not a huge difference, only about a second between the two, so if you're shooting on second shell or first shell, it doesn't matter. But in reality, you will gain damage per minute when dumping the clip. You will lose damage per minute if you shoot it on your second shell, reload it once, shoot it on your second shell again. So it's actually a reverse auto reloader, and it is the only reverse auto reloader in Tier 10. The Progetto 65 used to be a reverse auto reloading tank, but unfortunately Wargaming swapped those values. Now, to be fair, I think that's actually good for the game. I think that you should get punished for dumping your clip in vehicles that are auto reloaders, but the Rhino doesn't. And because of that, this is an absolute beast, because not only does the vehicle feature a very dangerous gun with 420 damage per shot, 2600 DPM if you dump the clip, but it also has good mobility, solid turret armor, and 7 degrees of gun depression, which means that there's really not many situations where you're going to feel outclassed in this tank. I mean, yes, the hull armor is pretty bad. In fact, on flat ground, you can expect most shells to cut through your vehicle. But the nice thing is that because it has gun depression, you don't really need to worry about flat ground. For example, this game, I am going to be playing my Rhino towards the hull down spot in the base cap. So we can see an enemy 30B is going off to the corner, and what do we have actually up against us? We got a TVP and a 30B for mobility. So that's it. Our Sheridan's already in mid, and our Sheridan surprisingly doesn't get spotted, but I do from the enemy 30B. Well, Sheridan, please let me go through. Thank you. We did see that there is an enemy tank off towards the other flank, and the question is, do they have a grill in the back? I don't know. There's actually no way of telling what exactly they have in the back. I think the best play to make right now is to, well, simply wait. We can see the enemy TVP in the back, and wow. Welcome to my luck sometimes, ladies and gents, but because this is a double shot tank, we still get a nice 400 damage shell into the enemy TVP. That player is, well, probably not going to be enjoying life all too much, judging that the grill and the rest of his team is not really supporting him. So, as much as I want to push this 30B, yeah, I'm spotted, and it's a great example to showcase that TVP is probably camping in the back there. Ideally, it's a smarter play for me to just turn and stare at enemy tanks like this 777, which we miss. Well, unfortunate. That shell did not go even remotely close to where I wanted it to. Alright, let's try again. There you go. That one actually hits the 777. Funny thing is that, at least with two shells, I can miss one shot and still get out some damage, right? Well, not too bad so far. We have the enemy chieftain in front, and I think I'm just going to wait for my second shell to come back before I do anything. And I was correct with that enemy TVP sitting in the back. Not very surprising, though. Ooh, nice shell into the enemy 777, and I'm not going to risk it with the second shot. It's just a waste of my damage per minute. There's no point to do that. So what am I going to do instead? I'm going to try and push up here and see if we can get some damage into the enemy chieftain. There you go. 493 damage into his tank, and bonk, a 403. Just like that, we did a lot to that enemy chieftain, bringing him from full health to 1400. And again, it shows where this auto reloading capability allows this vehicle to just get out that damage so incredibly easily. And we wait for our second shell to come, and now I'm going to push this enemy chieftain. So let's see if that's what we're able to do here. Chieftain gets shot once by the T-22. We're going to shoot him once ourselves for a nice little chunker, and we're going to reload one more shot, getting the clear into the enemy chieftain. We do have the grill on the flank, and the grill is going to try and shoot the Kron, which he doesn't, interestingly enough. The grill does does shoot now, though, we're going to load in a shell of our own, dealing 420 damage to him. So all that's left is the enemy Stritzvon K and the 777. Well, we're just going to move up. We're already up to 3,300 damage, which is pretty good. Stritzvon K is getting shot at, and we're just going to reload our second shell ever so slightly. 3, 2, 1, and bonk. There you go. A 525 into the enemy Stritzvon K, and a 368 clear into the enemy 777. Just like that, we did over 4,200 damage, and you can understand why I enjoy the Rhino so much. Oh, well, I can actually clear this player. I did not realize that. Bonk! I thought that our 2 tanks would be able to get the clear on the Stritzvon, but I guess I can't even have my team do simple tasks. But you can see why the Rhino is very enjoyable, because the auto-reloading aspects always mean that you have a shell. And not only that, but when you're not being shot at, you just have the ability to reload a second shot. So in this game, we did 4,317 damage and easily placed top on the team with very little effort whatsoever. I played smart. I knew that that enemy TVP was going to camp in the back, and while it might have been beneficial for my team to push that 30B up on that ramp, at the end of the day, it's not worth it for me to lose 1,240 hit points to try and deal 800 in return to a vehicle that was going to die to our team either way. In better terms, just don't bleed health. That's what I always say. If you're a player who is better than the rest of your team, right? I know that basically any game I play on, I'm going to make a bigger impact than 99% of the players that I have on my team, as long as I don't die or bleed health early game. And because of that, I'm willing to let my teammates take shots from me, especially when I know that it's just not worth it to poke somebody. I'd rather focus on the heavies flanking my rear, which are a much bigger threat than a single 30B, which is stuck behind a rock. So that's exactly what we did. The enemy team, I'm not exactly sure why the 30B and TVP went to where they did when they had no tank destroyers covering them. At the end of the day, tank destroyers are very important vehicles, because if they cover you, then you have a huge amount of support. Pretend I'm in my Rhino, I'm hull down on Lagoon, right? And an enemy, I don't know, Chieftain tries to YOLO me with Tungsten, Adrenaline, and Hesh and start shooting me in the lower plate. Well, that player could very easily beat me if I have no support from my team. But if I just have a single tank destroyer overlooking me, it takes what was a very, very bad situation and allows one of my tank destroyers to nuke that chieftain and punish him for making a bad play. And that is why you need tank destroyers to support you. If you're winning, then tank destroyers are almost useless. But if you're losing, they are incredibly helpful, and they can incredibly easily change the tides of a game just by one player YOLOing like a monkey. So what do we have up against us? Well, there is only 2 heavies, a AMX-50B and Chieftain Mark 6, and we can see the enemy Caro already spotted in mid. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to move up a teeny bit onto this enemy Caro. We're going to aim in, and there you go, a 390 damage shell into his tank. We are spotted, interestingly enough. Even though we can't spot the enemy Caro, that's just how camo values work in this game. Well, that's fine. We're going to wait for our shell to come back, and now that we have our shell, let's see, is that Caro over here? No, but we do have a 4005. We get a nice 413 shell into his tank. We're going to aim in one more, and we get a nice 427. It's definitely worth it for me to trade a little bit of my health to take off a lot of that 4005's health. And remember, tank destroyers don't have nearly the amount of health that heavies do. So that 4005 is already down to 700 HP, where I'm still at 2,119. And again, we can see where that double shot mechanic just allows this vehicle to feel so incredibly capable, because I can just deal a lot more damage to an enemy tank than they can usually deal to me. For example, that 62, I'm not really sure why he thought it was going to be worth it to poke twice, but he did. And because of that, he lost over half of his health. This is why the Rhino feels so darn good, is because you have the ability to take half of that health off of an enemy tank. Or normally, if I was in an E5, for example, I would only have been able to take 400 health off. So we are going to activate our speed boost and try to push the enemy FE2 and 5V183. Well, actually, scratch that idea. There's an enemy 62A right in front of me. We got 1 easy shell into the 62A, we reload again, and 2 easy shells into that 62A, taking him out of the game. Again, that double shot mechanic is just so dang good. We are already over 3,000 damage due to the fire that we had, and now we just simply wait for our second shell to come back. Even a vehicle like the enemy Agpanzer E100, which features super good damage output, really doesn't mean much to me when I can get 1 389 damage shell, reload a second later, and get a bounce on his lower plate, because that's my luck, I guess, right, ladies and gents? Oh well. As we always say, my luck is quite tragic in this game, so when it comes to hitting shots, well, yeah. don't count me on that one. But we are going to reload, and we are going to aim in a shell on the enemy FE2 and 5B183, which we get an easy 400 damage shell into the roof of. My Rhino is, or not my Rhino, my Minnow is doing a good job of blocking me there, but we were still able to get it out. I mean, this is why the Rhino is just so good, though. There's almost never a situation where I feel like I can't handle what is being placed in front of me. And when you pair that with the fact that this tank is mobile, which we can see here, chilling at 35, 36 kilometers per hour, when you pair that with good gun depression, with really solid turret armor, and pretty troll hull armor, it's a great tank. So, we got another victory here, and I'm going to guess upwards of 3,800 damage with that slight fire we had on the enemy T-62A. There you go, 3,933 damage, and an incredibly easy victory. We also netted 14,000 credits. It's not a lot, but I guess it's better than going into the red, right? At the end of the day, I think the Rhino is absolutely fantastic. I have played around 74 games in the tank. Look at my average damage, 3,650. That's pretty dang good for the NA server. When you pair that with an 83% win rate for playing almost all these games solo, the tank's a beast. If you want just an amazing vehicle, this is the way to go. I think the Rhino is definitely a little bit too strong. I mean, people have said it's balanced on release, and I'm one of those people. But in reality, it's a double shot tank. And not only does it have a double shot mechanic, but it's an auto reloader, which has good DPM, gains damage per minute when dumping the clip, and has good mobility. And when you pair all that together, I do think it's a little bit on the upper end of strong, especially with the current meta of autoloaders just being better than most single-shot tanks. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. If you enjoyed today's video and you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!